It was a typical Saturday evening in our small suburban town, and my friend Jenny and I decided to throw a house party while her parents were away. We were both 16 and thrilled to have the freedom of her parents' empty home. We spent the entire day setting up, decorating the living room, and making sure we had enough snacks and drinks to last the night. The guest list quickly grew, and before we knew it, over 50 people confirmed their attendance. As dusk settled, the party started to come alive. The music blared, laughter echoed, and the energy was contagious. Jenny and I were mingling, having a great time, but as the night wore on, things started to feel a little off. It wasn't anything overt, just a subtle shift in the atmosphere that we couldn't quite place. Amid the sea of familiar faces, a stranger caught my attention. He was an older man, probably in his late 30s, standing alone in the corner. He looked out of place among the teenagers, wearing a dark suit and an enigmatic smile that sent shivers down my spine. I nudged Jenny and pointed him out, but she brushed it off, assuming he must be someone's older sibling who came to check on the party. Trying to shake off my unease, I decided to focus on having fun. But the man's presence lingered in the back of my mind, like a haunting shadow. I observed him from a distance, noting how he never engaged with anyone or seemed to interact with anyone in particular. He merely stood there, watching the party unfold with an unsettling intensity. As the night progressed, I noticed he had moved closer, and that's when I felt a chill run down my spine. Something about him was different. He didn't seem like just an awkward bystander anymore. The more I tried to dismiss my feelings, the more my intuition screamed that there was something off about this man. I approached Jenny again, telling her about my unease, but she laughed it off as paranoia and said I was probably overthinking things. Still, she agreed to keep an eye on him, just in case. As the hours ticked by, the party grew wilder, and the stranger's presence was soon forgotten amidst the festivities. At some point I noticed he was gone, and I felt a sigh of relief. Maybe he was just an oddball who had wandered into the wrong party, I thought. But just as I was beginning to relax, Jenny spotted him on the other side of the room, staring at us intently. This time there was no doubt in her mind that something was off about him too. We decided it was best to inform Jenny's older brother Mark, who was keeping an eye on the house from afar, in case any issues arose. We made our way to Mark and told him about the creepy man. He immediately took it seriously, instructing us to stay close and avoid him. We did as he said, but our concern grew when we noticed the man had a drink in his hand, despite never having been near the refreshment table. The night wore on, and Mark kept a vigilant eye on the stranger, discreetly alerting a few friends who were willing to help. As the clock struck midnight, Mark approached the man and asked him to leave, as he didn't recognize him as part of the guest list. The man's response was chilling. He looked at Mark with dark, piercing eyes and said, "Oh, but I was invited, my dear boy. I received a very special invitation." Mark was visibly unnerved, but he stood his ground and insisted that the party was private, and the man needed to leave. But instead of complying, the stranger's smile widened, revealing a set of unnaturally sharp teeth. At this point, the entire atmosphere of the party had changed. The music seemed faint, and the air grew thick with tension. People around us started to notice the altercation and grew anxious. The man took a step closer to Mark, and the room fell silent. Everyone was watching, unsure of what to do. Then, out of nowhere, one of Mark's friends lunged at the man, trying to get him away from his brother. But the stranger was surprisingly strong, and with a swift move, he overpowered the friend, sending him sprawling to the floor. Panic swept through the room as the partygoers began to realize the danger they were in. Jenny and I exchanged terrified glances, and without a second thought, we ran to the nearest phone to call the police. Chaos erupted around us, and the once vibrant party descended into disarray. By the time the police arrived, the man had vanished into the night, leaving behind a trail of confusion and fear. The party was disbanded, and we were all left to process the strange and unsettling events of that night. In the weeks that followed, the memory of the creepy man haunted our minds. There were no leads on his identity, and the incident remained a mystery. We all learned a valuable lesson that night. Sometimes things can go terribly wrong at what was meant to be an innocent teenage house party, and from then on, We never took our safety for granted again. As the summer sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting a warm glow across the suburban neighborhood, my heart raced with excitement. It was the first party of the summer, and our friend group was finally reunited. Jessica's parents were away for the weekend, leaving her spacious house as the perfect venue for a teenage house party. The music thumped and laughter filled the air as we danced and chatted in the dimly lit living room. Cups were filled and emptied in a never-ending cycle of refreshment and buzz. Everything seemed perfect until an unwelcome shadow lurked at the edge of the party. A man, cloaked in darkness, stood at the edge of the property, watching us with intense eyes. My skin prickled with unease, but I brushed it off, attributing it to the alcohol-induced paranoia. My friend Alex, however, noticed him too and mentioned it to Jessica, the host. Jessica dismissed our concerns with a casual wave of her hand, claiming it was probably just some passerby. We tried to let it go, believing that the lively atmosphere would chase away any discomfort. But my unease only grew, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the man's eyes were locked on me. As the night wore on, more guests arrived, and the party escalated to a wild frenzy. Music thumped at an ear-splitting volume, and the house shook with the rhythm. I retreated to the kitchen, seeking solace from the crowd. Alex followed, sensing my anxiety. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern evident in his eyes. "I can't shake this feeling. I swear that man is still out there," I replied, glancing toward the window. Alex peered outside and frowned. "Yeah, he's still there. We should tell Jessica again. Maybe she'll listen this time." Together, we approached Jessica, who was busy dancing and barely noticed our arrival. We tried to convey the urgency of the situation, but she dismissed it once more, claiming that the party was too lit for anyone to be concerned about an outsider. Despite our unease, the party continued. The atmosphere became more frenzied, and it seemed like everyone was intoxicated in some form. The night wore on, and the darkness outside deepened, making the man at the edge of the property even more ominous. Then, as the clock struck midnight, the power went out. Chaos ensued, with screams and panicked voices piercing the darkness. Jessica, desperate to maintain the party's momentum, lit candles and flashlights attempting to salvage the night. However, amid the confusion, I noticed that the man outside had vanished. My heart pounded in my chest, and I knew we had to be cautious. The darkness outside made it impossible to see if he had merely moved to a different vantage point. I pulled Jessica aside once more, urging her to call the police or at least have someone check outside. Reluctantly, she agreed and assigned 2 friends to investigate the yard. As we waited anxiously, I couldn't help but wonder if it was too late. Minutes felt like hours as we huddled in the dimly lit living room, the party now a distant memory. The 2 friends returned, their faces pale and eyes wide with fear. They had found the man, lurking in the shadows near the back of the house, but before they could confront him, he vanished into the night. Fear spread through the house like wildfire, and Jessica's attempt to restore the party atmosphere was futile. The mood had shifted from carefree excitement to a fearful tension. We all agreed that it was best to end the party, but as we gathered our things to leave, an eerie silence enveloped us. The man had returned, standing right outside the glass door that led to the backyard. His face was hidden beneath the hood of his dark jacket, but his presence sent shivers down our spines. Jessica, bravely attempting to confront him, stepped forward. "Who are you? What do you want?" she asked, her voice trembling. The man didn't answer, only staring at us with a haunting intensity. I could feel the fear and vulnerability in the air, and a sense of danger consumed me. We had no choice but to retreat further into the house and lock all the doors. Panicked, we called the police, and while we waited for them to arrive, the man didn't move from his spot outside the glass door. It was as if he knew we were trapped and enjoyed the terror he had instilled in us. When the police finally arrived, they searched the area but found no trace of the man. They assured us that they would patrol the neighborhood throughout the night, but the sense of security was shattered. The house party gone wrong was etched into our memories forever. We never found out who the creepy man was or why he targeted our gathering. The incident left us feeling vulnerable and distrustful of our own sense of safety. From that night on, we were cautious about our gatherings, always aware that danger could lurk where we least expected it.